Righto guys, well in today's episode, going to do a renovation on the TifTuf here behind us. And today I got one of my mates, Emmo, he's here to get a bit of experience.
Yeah, yep.
He's currently building a new place further down the valley and he's all keen for TifTuf.
Yep, absolutely.
And he's asked me if he could tag along, and I was pretty cool with that because it gives us the opportunity to get some better angles, some better footage, and some free labour. So
learn a thing or two, hopefully.
and learn a thing or two. Right. So as you can see, this TifTuf is really, really thick. And even when I run the mower over it now, the mower does jump up and down a little bit, or the cylinder heads jump up and down a little bit as they ride across the thatch. So it is now well and truly ready to get dethatched. So that's what's going to happen today. So just run you quickly through it. So we've got scarification. I like to scarify first, generally speaking. It's not a set rule, but I like to scarify first. Then we'll go through and scalp with a scalp mower, take it right down. We're going to touch on, we'll do that a bit later. We're going to touch on why I'm not core aerating today, but probably why you guys should core aerate. So we'll get to that as well. But in the meantime, sit back, relax, and we'll crack on. So you guys have seen this a million times before on the channel. So it's the trusty old Scott Bonner 46. So Emma here, you have never used one before.
Never seen one in person, no.
He's heard all about them, he's seen all about them, but today he's going to experience it firsthand. Now, you were asking me just a minute ago about why or can or which way do we do this? Do we mow or scalp first, or do we not scalp first?
Yep.
As I said just a minute ago, you can do it either way. There's no drama. I like to, and I have done it both ways in the past. I prefer now to probably scarify first because it does break down into the canopy and lift up the canopy. It does dredge out a lot of material, and it then does make mowing short easier. So generally I'll go 2 passes on the second lowest setting, we'll pick that up, and then the lowest setting, which is our final sort of shave cut, if you will.
Yep. Yes, so basically one question I have is what's the benefits of scarifying?
Yep.
A lot of people will kind of just do, I suppose, a height of cut reset,
yep.
Which I'm 12 months into loving lawn, so might be some silly questions, but there's people out there that watch lawn renovation videos that are interested. Just basically what's the difference between the scarifying and dropping the height of cut, I suppose?
Yeah, okay, so basically what's going on here, when we do a scarify, we're sort of opening up the canopy. So height of cut reset, basically we're just going down one or 2 notches lower on our mower, then we're bringing it back up, and we're sort of cutting into that first little bit. Now, it's probably worth mentioning at this point in time, that we really are just talking about warm season grasses here in particular. We're not really talking about cool season ryegrasses or fescues or anything like that. This is really more a cooch, kikuyu, buffalo kind of setup or question. So that's just a height of reset. So if you're mowing through the season, you're getting a bit of scalp in your mow and it's not mowing as nice as it was, then you drop your height down 1 or 2 notches, then lift it back up and keep going. This is a little bit more like, I guess, pruning rose bushes. And if you're into rose bushes, you'll sort of understand what I'm saying here. Like you might, at the beginning of the season, you might cut them right back to a skeleton, and then they do great things throughout the growing season. And obviously certain plants respond to different things. There's plants out there that you wouldn't do that to. Grass is a bit the same. Certain grasses you can do what we're going to do today, and that is really hook in hard, and other grasses you've got to be more gentle with. So getting back to your question, so what this will do is this will open up this will allow more air to move through the actual plant material above the ground. So it'll also help to reduce disease, possibilities of disease and stuff where you get that humid, very minimal airflow down in the turf below.
Yep.
It'll open up, thin it back out, help some new growth come through. It will encourage new growth. It'll also dredge out a lot of dead material that we've seen throughout the season. So that's some of the reasons why we do this. And I like to go pretty aggressive. I always go 2 directions, and I go really low and really, really hard.
Yep.
So we've been over this once now, and I had this set at the same height that I did my Santarana. So yesterday I actually did my Santarana lawn just because I knew timing would be an issue, and the renovation process is actually no different to what we're doing here. And there's, I suppose, only so much of the same thing you can put into a video. I'm actually looking around here now, and it's only the way I look at things and I'm trained to see. I think this can still go deeper and more aggressive. So we were going to do a second run anyway, but I will drop the height down a smidge more just to bite down a bit deeper into this, because I would have actually expected to see a little bit more material come up than what we got. What was your first impressions of using this machine?
Pretty exciting, like a kid at Christmas. But basically you can kind of feel where it's thick and not thick. It kind of just wants to pull you.
Yep.
I suppose you get complacent. You're just cruising along, and then next minute
it kicks. So the thing with these old school machines, because like you got to remember these things are sort of, these started life in the 70s, maybe late 60s. I'm not exactly certain, and the design really hasn't changed at all over the years. If this is biting down deep and it's engaged, and you happen to lose grip or let go of this, it's gone. You're not going to catch it. It's gone. So safety's not really not on the forefront.
I did find myself when I turned around, I saw me. It was like I'm riding a wave in the surf. I kind of straighten it back up, so you might see on the video that I've doubled over some sections.
That's all right, you've done real well. So we're going to drop it down a little bit lower now, and we'll go over it. So yeah, so first impressions, pretty cool.
Love it.
Love it.
Can't wipe the smile off my face. Keen to do the second pass.
Oh no, that's awesome. All right guys, we'll drop it down and we'll start heading back across this way. Okay, so we've gone over it now twice in two different directions. Got a heap more out of it the second time round.
Yep.
Really started to get down to where we want to be now. I know I've said it before, but I'll mention again. This material here now would be an ideal way for somebody who's looking to start a new lawn on the cheap to do that. So you could basically collect all this stuff up now, and you could spread it all out, cover it with sand, keep it really, really wet in a warm growing conditions like we're heading into now, and you'd end up having a pretty nice lawn out of it. So it is a way of doing things on the cheap. Might actually cover that one day on the channel. I might actually do this one time. Might actually just come along here, do a Scarify, pick it all up, and I might even maybe go down to mum and dad's and plough up a bit of stuff up in the greater backyard, their backyard, and plan a bit out, and just sort of, that'd be a pretty cool thing to see.
Explain the process.
Yeah, but anyway, look guys, as I said, this is all picked up now. You don't need to have a fancy pants machine like the 46. It certainly is handy.
Or operator.
Yeah, well, along the lines of. You don't need to have that. I mean, there's plenty of other more cost-effective options on the market. I mean, not everyone is also Scarifying a larger area as what this is, but it does a really good job. I'm liking how far down it goes, etc., etc. Next step amongst it now is for us to collect all this material up. So we'll collect it up, which will give us an area then that we can start hitting and mowing really, really low, getting down to our scalp, moving on to top dressing, fertilizing, and we'll also touch on about why we're not coring.
Beautiful.
Cool. Right, so we'll use the John Deere, we'll use the D130 here to pick up all the bulk material. Now, obviously, once again, you don't need to do that, but on these sort of scales that we're working at, and we just want to punch through this at a decent rate. So we'll go over it now, we'll use the John Deere, we'll pick it all up, chuck it in a trailer, take it off the dump, and as I said, Righto, so I've got Mo on the mower here now. He's just cleaning up as we go. Now, the reason, if you're wondering why I've got it set so high at the moment, it just helps all that extra clumping go under. Yeah, sure, it does tend to leave a little bit behind, but we can go back over it again once we've got the bulk of it picked up on a much lower setting. But this is a big time saver for me, and it definitely helps get the job done really quickly. We've done our scarifying now. We've gone over 2 directions. So we've done the first way, then we went slightly lower the second way. Mo here was a little bit surprised.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the amount of grass.
Yep.
What about the fact that we've still got green grass?
Yeah, the first point with the grass, grass that's so manicured, you could say, the amount of, I suppose, rubbish. We got paid for that. It's just crazy the amount of grass that's come out for 350 odd square metres.
Yep. No, that's right.
And to still say it's green, it's better than 99% of the lawns around here.
Yeah, it is. We're
probably 100% to be honest.
Yeah, well, it is a bit dry here at the moment.
Apart from the old boys.
Oh, wow. So from here on in, guys, the next step will be, we actually do a dump run now because a trailer's bulging, it's done. So we'll do a dump run. We're going to come back and we're going to get the scalping mowers out. So Mo thought we were sort of done and the next stage was top dressing.
Yep.
It's not the case, man. We got to find some soil beneath this green.
Actually made me happy.
Yeah, he's getting all upset because he thought his day was over, but it's only just beginning.
2 straight Victor coming out.
2 straight Victor and the new Scalping mower as well, the new mower from Bush Ranger. So we'll have both of those running. And we'll get rid of all this green.
Yep.
We'll lay down some top dress and stuff like that, and we'll talk about why I'm not going to be
coring.
Yep. Cool. So Bush Rangers sent us a new mower to try. This is potentially going to replace the little Victor Scalping mower that we use. So there's a few different models in the range. This is the big 21-inch featuring the Honda motor, but they do different motor types on there, and they also do a smaller version. I think it's an 18-inch cut, but this is the big daddy. This is the top shelf model. So we're going to give it a run today. We'll still be using the Victor as well because we've got 2 people, so we'll get this knocked over as quick as we can, but we'll be focusing on how this performs and is it a worthy opposition or worthy contender for those of you who might be looking to do this as a full-time gig or whatever, or looking for a scalping mower or just a hardcore new utility mower. So we'll definitely be putting this through its paces today, and I've had a little test of it out the back just to see how it goes, and it's not a bad thing. But today we're going to actually first time try using it as a scalp mower, so we'll crack on with that and we'll see how it goes. So unfortunately, I don't think this is going to get low enough for me today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get in contact with Bush Ranger, see if we can get it to go a little bit lower. But as it sits and as it leaves the factory, for me at the moment, in my situation, it's probably not going to get quite low enough for what we need today. So we're going to jump back now to the Victor just because I've got to keep moving, I've got to get it done. But let's leave this as a background project. As I said, I'll talk to Bush Ranger, see if there's something we can do to get this to go a little bit lower. And maybe down the track, we'll look at it again and see if we can try it again. Okay, so we've got it all cleaned up now. That was our second tip run.
Yep.
So all up today, out of this 350 odd square meters, we've taken about half a ton, about 500 give or take kilos of grass and dead grass to the dump, which is really quite remarkable. What's your thoughts so far, mate? How's it all been?
Yeah, it'll be the first and last time that I come here and help. Yeah, it's hard work, especially with the Victor. Yeah, it's probably the hardest part the whole day, but more surprised about the grass that's come out of a lawn that looks so good, and thinking that there's not that much rubbish under the grass. It's very surprising.
It's nuts how, and there's still a little tiny bit here, but that's fine. Our next step now I spoke about this earlier, so next step here now would actually be to core aerate. So now would be the time that I would say you bring out a coring machine and you run across. Now, I'll show you guys now the reason why, in my case, it would be different for you guys. In my case, why I don't need to core aerate this lawn, and a lot of that is to do with what it's constructed with. And going forward, given I've got such a sandy open profile, I probably won't ever have to core aerate this. So I'm just going to take a core just using one of these pro pluggers just to give you a bit of an idea of how this was constructed. So I'll just, you can see how long the roots come down this stuff here, but I'll just take a, so you can see here how sandy this is. So this was constructed with a coarse river sand, and look, it's a bit of a pain to get smooth and level when you're constructing, but apart from this clay band here, which would have been the clay band in the turf, as you can see, there's no aeration issues at all. Got an amazing root structure here. In fact, there's one here that goes, what would that be? That'd have to be 6 or 7 inches or so. So that is basically the reason for me I can skip the part of aeration, because I've got really good root system, I've got really good root structure. Unfortunately, a bit of a clay band there from the turf upon delivery, but really, for me, I don't have any need to do an aeration. But if you had a really heavy soil, then yeah, absolutely core aerate and add some more sort of sandy material, just help to start over time, break it down. But for me, having that there is a bit of a get out of jail free card. I don't have to worry about it. Righto, so we'll move on to top dressing now. And again, we're going to use the Master Top Dresser from Yard Empire. I did actually use it yesterday on the Santa Ana. Really makes top dressing a breeze, because it can be quite labour intensive. So what I think we'll do, we'll hook the little trailer on behind the John Deere, little trailer and that, and we'll load him up with sand. And the beauty about that, instead of using the car trailer, is I can actually drive straight up pretty much to where the top dresser runs out. We can load him up and then keep going. So I think from memory, it was about 4 trailer loads yesterday across there on the other side. So today, probably going to be a bigger area. It's probably about 5 or 6, but it's just, I found it pretty easy. We'll just start probably at the top and work our way down. As usual, using my preferred sand, which is probably probably somewhere around a 70-30. Now basically what 70-30 means is 70% of this here is sand. Now the 30% is clay silt material. So really sort of fine clay, if you will. So the fine clay gives you the ability to hold a bit of nutrient, and the sand provides a nice drainage effect and avoids a bit of compaction, that sort of thing, versus a lot of the rubbish that you can buy. It's really important when you go looking for sand or top dressing material and you're after something along the lines of this, if you ask them about 80-20 or 70-30 or USGA blends and things like that, if they don't know what you're talking about, there's a good chance they're not going to have what you want. So rather than just ringing them up all the time, go down and have a look. Just say, I'd like to have a look at what you've got in the way of sand for top dressing. And if it's not like, there's no real big lumps in this, it's all very sort of fine material. It's sort of the best way. Would you say that's a bit like dirty beach sand?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if it doesn't look like dirty beach sand, it's probably not what you're after if you're chasing this sort of a result. So yeah, that's my advice on really the best sand you should be using. Places to find it, Not always straightforward, not always easy. It might be a bit of a ring around, or ring your local golf course and just see where they're getting their stuff from. Because chances are, if they're using it, it's probably going to be more than adequate for what someone at home is going to be needing. So this is how we adjust the amount of sand that comes out. So there's some little serrated edges there. So I'm just going to set it about halfway, I reckon. About halfway or a bit better. And that hopefully will give us the right amount. Well, we're just about out of time today. We have been going at it all day. We started at 7 o'clock. It's after 5 o'clock now. Emma here is probably all but divorced by now.
Something like that.
Yep. So in the morning, basically, I've got to come back out. I've got to just rub in the bits along the street. I've got to chuck out some Acceloprin, put out some fertilizer, and that's about it. But unfortunately, that sun is just about to set. There's not enough time today, but mate, I want to say a massive thank you.
Thank you for letting me come along. Learn a lot.
Yep, glad you did.
Yeah.
And I know that this is going to come back and bite me now because there's going to be a heap of work down at Emma's place when it's finished.
Absolutely.
So
more content for everyone.
we may be down there, guys. We may go down there, and we may be doing something a bit different, a bit of construction, a bit of stuff like that. But anyway, mate, once again, thank you very much.
Could be a little bit of Kai seed.
Oh yeah, weirdo. Yeah, Kai seed. Yeah, Kai seed.
Out the back where no one can see.
Yeah. But we're having probably what, TifTuf, you reckon?
Yeah, definitely TifTuf out the front.
Out the front, cylinder mow.
Yep.
Happy days.
Get the approval from the wife first.
You won't have a wife after tonight. Anyway, mate, look, thank you very much once again.
Thank you
guys,
very much.
We'll come back in the morning. We'll see you then. So day 2 now. Massive shout out, massive thanks to Emma. Couldn't have done it without you, mate. Just on that, I just want to take this opportunity. Since I've been doing YouTube, it's been absolutely amazing to sort of meet a lot of like-minded people. And obviously I chat to a lot of people, but some people you just sort of gel with a bit more. Ben Sims, obviously, Ben and I are really good mates now. Ben further down the valley, we did the ryegrass on, and now Emma as well. He's a keen young fella. He's about to finish building a new home, and maybe we'll get down there and do a bit of filming when we lay down his new lawn. Just finishing in the last of the rubbing in of the sand that I didn't get time to do yesterday. And then let's move on now to application of fertilizer and Acceloprin. Now, if you're wondering why I haven't mentioned Barricade pre-emergent, now would be an ideal time to put it down, except my delivery hasn't turned up yet, so I haven't got any to put down, but as soon as it turns up, we'll pop that down, our pre-emergent, to take care of our summer weeds, you know, summer grasses, bindies and things like that, which I don't think I'm going to get here, but particularly summer grass would be the one that I'm a bit concerned about since there's so much of it around this area. So very recently, Syngenta has released smaller packaging for their very popular Acceloprin product. Now, this is the liquid, so 100 mils of liquid is the equivalent of a big 10 kilo bag of the Acceloprin GR, the granule. So if liquids are more your thing, you could apply this with a soil wetter, for example. That will give you plenty of coverage, last you a long time, and not take up much room in the shed. Or if you do prefer a granular style product still, and I think granules are pretty easy, you can now get a 4 kilo bucket of Acceloprin, which is handy because it seals up nice and tight. And again, if storage is a concern for you, or you're on a smaller block and can't justify a big 10 kilo bag, go and check out the 4 kilo bucket, I should say. It does exactly the same thing. It's just a smaller quantity, as does the liquid, does exactly the same thing, just if you prefer the liquids. Now, Acceloprin is one of those products which is a bit like an insurance policy. So for example, this will give you 6 months control, be it either the liquid or the granule, against your armyworms, African black beetle, scarabs, etc. Now, a lot of people will know firsthand the damage an armyworm infestation can do to a lawn overnight. A product like this is going to give you a really awesome insurance policy. It's safe, it doesn't have a schedule, it's a natural based product, and I've been using it here now for a number of years, and touch wood, never had any dramas. And I'm sure, given recent armyworm infestations here, and there was actually my example of my mate in town with the Kaikiu lawn that we rescued there last season. He wasn't using Acceloprin, and that's what happened. So I always take the insurance policy and put this stuff out. So we'll do that now. We'll put this out, and then we'll also put down some fertilizer, give this a good drink, and I can't believe I'm saying it, it's all done, thank goodness. It's worth mentioning, in fact I should have mentioned it at the beginning of that, ideal times for Acceloprin is sort of now. So what are we now? We're in September, so August, September is an ideal time, generally speaking Australia-wide, to get that down, to make sure that it gets into the soil, starts working to get the grubs and lawn beetles at the right stages to break the breeding cycle as well. If you're putting this down, and you can do this, if you're putting it down to control, for example, active armyworm, it's best to leave it on the leaf overnight, or leave it on the surface overnight, then irrigate it in the next day. In my case, I've got nothing active. This is all preemptive, so it'll get down, it'll get irrigated in with my fertilizer, and that gives me the control that I'm looking for. It's time now to stick out our fertilizer. Now, once again, I'm going to use the Plant Doctor Mini Prill Lawn and Greens grade fertilizer. It has a rate distribution of 2 to 4 kilos per 100 square meters. Because this is a renovation and I'm looking to get a bit of growth, I'm going to go at the upper rate, so I'm going to use the 4 kilos per 100 square meters. If you are looking to try or replenish your supply of the Plant Doctor stuff, I'll put a discount code at the bottom there, which is BREN10, B-R-E-N, and then the number 10, and that'll give you 10% off your order with Plant Doctor, and in some cases also free delivery, just depending on location and quantity ordered. We'll get this out, we'll get it down, we'll get some water on, but before we do that, also remember, it's very important to blow off your pathways before you start irrigating, because there is an iron component to this and many other fertilizers, and it will leave marks on concrete, driveways, etc. So best to always blow back off the concrete onto lawns. You're not wasting any product, you're getting it back on the lawn, and you're not leaving iron stains, which I do have, because I was that silly person that hasn't always followed that rule. Once you've got all your products down, being your fertilizers, if you've put down the soil wetter, your Acceloprin, it's time to give this lawn a nice drink. Now, we're not looking for inches and inches of water. We're looking for 6 to 10 millimeters to start things off. So I'm gonna put my sprinklers on here now, get some water onto this lawn, and I'll start resuming my normal sort of watering program. So basically, we're starting off at the earlier side of the season. We'll start off with sort of maybe, for me, about 12 mils a week, until the weather starts to really heat up. And then at the peak of summer, I'll go 25, 30 mils a week, generally over 2 waterings, but I keep an eye on things and just sort of see, do I need a little bit more water, do I not? Being a hot and dry season this year is really going to probably be all about soil wetters. So can't stress the importance enough on these more drier summers, hotter summers. I mean, today is still spring and we're heading to 35. Soil wetters are going to be a lifesaver for you guys. Renovations are done here for another year. It's funny, you know, because we all get really excited, well I do, and a lot of people into turf get really excited about renovation season. It's sort of high around it, you know, there's spring's on the way, weather's warming up, and we all get really excited to get back out on the gear. And about halfway through that renovation, you realise this is actually really, really hard work. But it's done now. The hard work will well and truly be worth it. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. We'll catch you next time on the Aussie Lawn.